From his family.
Was out on the field pretty much the whole entire first half.
We got a lot of great games. I'm highlighting 2 SEC games.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Mayhem Matthew, and my
Hey,
co-host
Ballard Sports Media. I had to.
Yes.
Yeah.
How are y'all doing
interrupted.
today? I
We're
didn't
good,
mean to come off too strong there. But if you like this content, please smash the thumbs up. And if you really like the content, hit the subscribe button. I have a YouTube channel called Mayhem Mavericks. Please subscribe to that. Ballard, we're on his channel right now. Subscribe to him. What are you doing? Okay.
Yep.
We have a lot to talk about today, guys. A lot to talk about. So, Ballard, I'm going to let you open up with the first conversation of the night. Please go for it.
Yeah, I mean, where do you want me to start? I don't think we talked about the order we were going to do this in.
Start wherever you please.
Okay. I gotta talk about this one. Drew Pine. If that name sounds familiar, it's because you've probably heard it the past couple years. He was somewhat highly recruited for. Well, I'm going to be honest. At this point, I don't even know where he was recruited. He is leaving Missouri and transferring for a 4th time. Mayhem. This is part of what's wrong with college football today. Now, there's not too much wrong with the system or anything, but I would say that this is a big issue. What do you think?
You know, all right. So let me just say this first, right? Let me say this first. Drew Pine sucks at college football. Okay?
Yeah.
That's just the facts of life. He had a chance to play at Notre Dame, didn't get a chance to start. Well, he did start for a couple games there, but he wasn't the guy at Notre Dame. Transfers to Missouri, obviously wasn't the guy there. And they didn't see a really bright future with him. I think you said he went to Arizona State or something like that.
Yes.
I didn't even know he was there, so that just tells you how bad he was. I don't even think, was he even second string there? I don't even know. But look, Drew Pine might be a really nice guy. He might be, a great friend to hang out with. But as far as playing football, it's just not it. All right.
Yeah. I mean, if you're having, which again, we don't know the whole backstory as to why he's transferring, other than it's obvious he's not cut out, at least for the quarterback position. He looked okay at first, but he has progressively each year let me put this nicely, he's just declined. So having to transfer for a 5th time, not a good look. And sorry, but not sorry to say this. He does not have a future in the NFL. That's just my opinion.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said.
Mhm.
He does not have a future in in this sport. But the good thing, we talk about the bad things about college football, which we will get to a little bit later in this live stream. But let's talk about the good things, right? Drew Pine wants to play college football. He's not very good at it. He's had the opportunity to travel the United States, going to different colleges, going to experience different fan bases and different atmospheres and learn from different coaches and stuff like that, correct? So, the bright side is that he's got to experience these things and he'll have a lot of memories going forward. And with that being said, let him play. If somebody wants to start him or and let him play, he'll get the experience. And who knows? Maybe Canadian Football League will pick him up, or maybe what, 4 times the charm. I don't know, but maybe this will teach him some leadership skills for whenever he gets out of college and gets a job, a 9-to-5 job or whatever job he wants to get. And in the world of college football now, there's NIL, so let him pick up a good NIL deal and let him play for another year. So, no hate goes to Drew Pine. He's obviously, very determined to play football, and that's why he's transferring once again, because he wants to play. He wants to have that playing time. And can't really judge the man, but the only thing that I can judge is he's not very good at football. But like I said, he has room for improvement. He has 1 more year, I believe. Hopefully he only has 1 more year, because I'm not really a big fan of players that want to play 7, 8, 9, 10 years in college. Eventually there's got a time where, hey, buddy, you got to move on. And Drew Pine, I think this might be his last year playing in collegiate sports. So just let him enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we wish him the best, but we haven't really seen anything promising the last, few years that he's been in college. And, again, to remind people, he was recruited by Notre Dame. He had offers from schools like Alabama out there. He looked okay in high school, and to the point that he was getting really good Division I and Power 5 offers. But when he got to the college level, it looked okay at first, but then it just seemed like regression, not progression, every single year. So best of luck to him, I guess. That's all I got to say. I'm trying very hard not to be too negative on him. I know we don't want to do that. We don't want to put him down, but we want to be honest and upfront. So,
yeah, that's all the thoughts I have on Drew Pine.
yeah.
Maybe he can get an NIL deal at smaller college, start. Hey, Pine Saw, you should throw an NIL deal for him.
Oh my gosh, you're mean, dude. So, I'm sorry. Okay. You had some NBA stuff to talk about tonight. You want to go ahead and get into that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Lead us in.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and give me 5 seconds. All right. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Wow.
Kind of.
Okay. All right. Is that better?
Yeah. Let me take this off here. Let's see. Let's keep watching this for a minute.
All right. So I am going to read from ESPN. NBA suspends 3 Pistons, 2 Timberwolves for role in skirmish. 3 players from the Detroit Pistons and 2 from the Minnesota Timberwolves have received suspensions as a result of Sunday night skirmish between 2 teams announced Tuesday. Isaiah Stewart received the biggest penalty, while Marcus Sasser, Ron Holland both received a 1-game suspension. Minnesota Dante and Naz Reid were also hit with 1-game bans. In handling out penalties, NBA executives said Stewart received a longer ban because of his repeated history of unsportsmanlike acts. It goes on to say Reid and DeVincio will serve their suspensions on Tuesday versus Denver, while Stewart, Holland, and Sasser will miss Wednesday's game versus OKC. So, as you can see here, that's exactly what happened. So here's a quote from Bickerstaff. Obviously, things went too far, but what you see is guys looking out for one another, guys trying to protect one another, guys trying to have each other's back. Those are non-negotiables. These are non-negotiables in our locker room. This game featured 12 technical fouls, the most in an NBA game since March 23rd, 2005. So 20 years, Ballard.
Yeah. That's great. 12 technical fouls. Now, regular fouls, if you have 12, that makes sense. 12 technical fouls? That's insane, man. I've never seen that. And obviously, I know they said that hasn't happened since, what was it, 2005? So, like, um, yeah, that's crazy, man. So let me ask you this. With what happened this weekend in this game, are we gonna like? Is that just one of those things? Like we just happen to have seen it happen, or do you think that there's probably going to be issues going forward from this? That you could see a trend with player issues on the court in the NBA. Now, I know we see it sometimes. We got drama, we got some beef, but obviously it got a little bit more personal this weekend. What was it on Sunday? So, what do you think, man? Like, is this going to start some heat in the NBA going forward? What do you say?
So I'm gonna break this up into 2 different parts here. So
Okay.
in one part, because I have one big thought, but I got to break it up into 2 different sections here. So one part of me says that this cannot be tolerated in the NBA because we seen that this little pushing back and forth and this little fight that happened went into where the fans sit down, right? And, could have injured people and stuff like that. Could have injured the players. So a big safety concern right off the bat, that's my very first thought, is it's a big safety concern and it should not be tolerated in sports in general. I know we see that a lot in football. We see it a lot in, basketball. Hockey is very known for their fights and stuff like that. And, while games do get intense because they are very competitive players, it does happen, right? But it should not be a regular thing. I know players get angry. They're very competitive. They want to win. So it's inevitable, right? It's going to happen. With that being said, right, on the other hand, I do believe that this was one of the, I guess you would say, softer type of like fights, if you would say. this is one of the softer ones. I didn't see whenever I was watching the video, didn't see any punches thrown. So I mean, in this little debacle here, in this little group, with this little push and shove.
I think it was all verbal drama. Nothing really too physical, but it obviously the officials were able to stop it before it got too far.
Right. So, I think that, there was some coaches, there were some people in some suits, and then there was a lot of players pushing and shoving each other. So it did get a little
Mhm.
physical, but as far as like throwing punches and what we've seen in like other sports and even in basketball history, this is kind of one of those really not it didn't it did not have any extreme physicality, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the right words out, so my bad for
No, we got you. I mean,
but,
look,
so
this
like
is
I think what I'm trying to say is it shouldn't be tolerated. It's going to happen. It is inevitable. I know it's going to happen, but it should not be tolerated. I think the NBA did the right thing in suspending these guys for the right amount of time that they should have been suspended. I think that it fights for the player's safety in all sports should not be tolerated. But like we said, it is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's a part of big rivalries. It's a part of just very competitive sports. So with that being said, right, this particular fight, if you would say fight, it was more like a push and shove. This
yeah.
was one of the not so physical as far as like fist fighting and you know people getting people weren't really getting beat up is what I'm trying to say. There wasn't no bleeding or this wasn't no WWE steel cage match. You know what I mean? It really didn't get
Yeah.
to that level. So with that being said, I think the NBA handled it just fine, and um, I my thoughts are that for entertainment values purposes, I mean, it was entertaining to me, but I
Why
understand.
not?
I
Yeah.
understand that this is a business, and the NBA is a business, and they're trying to carry out business. They're trying to play a basketball game, and then for them to do that was wrong on
Yeah.
both basketball teams. And I don't know if any of the teams came out with an official statement apology or whatever, but I think that needs to happen. I think they need to come out with some type of official apology saying, "Hey, that was not the right thing to do. This is not what our team stands for." And then like the NBA already suspended them, so and then we just move
Yeah.
on from here. But very entertaining,
Um,
and it's something to talk about.
yeah. So just to quickly like sum it up and kind of recap, there were five guys involved. Okay, so three of them were from the Detroit Pistons, and two were involved from Minnesota. So the biggest penalty of the night, like suspension wise, was Isaiah Stewart. Just to recap, he got a 2 game ban while his teammates Marcus Sasser and Ron Holland II each got a 1 game suspension. Minnesota's Dante DaVincio and Naz Reid were also hit with a 1 game ban. Now, it went on to say in the report from Michael Wright of ESPN NBA, it said that Let's see. In handing out the penalties, NBA executive Vice President Joe DeMars said Stewart received the longer ban because of his repeated history of unsportsmanlike acts. Yikes. Now, I don't know what those are and if they are like during season, out of season. I don't know his history, but just reading from the report, obviously one or two of these guys have kind of had some beef and have kind of been in some trouble before, whether it's with the law or just straight up with the NBA.
Yeah. So I think the NBA did the right thing. Isaiah Stewart, man, hopefully he learns from this. He hasn't learned from the previous unsportsmanlike conduct behavior that has been held, whether off the field and on the field stuff. So, eventually, if Isaiah Stewart continues to do this, eventually you're going to have to come really down hard on Isaiah Stewart because he needs to be held accountable. He needs to lead the charge of change in the NBA so things like this does not happen. Basically, what I'm trying to say is you need to make Isaiah Stewart the example. Hey, if you do this many times, or if you do this is what type of trouble you can get into down the future. So I think they need if Isaiah Stewart continues down this path, I think they need to come down hard on Isaiah Stewart. They need to make an example out of him and saying, "Hey, we don't tolerate this mess. We can tolerate it up to somewhat. We can suspend you so many times, but after such and such a time, you're no longer a part of the NBA or whatever the suspension might
And
be."
the same goes for the other players involved or anybody out there. Like this isn't a tag on Stewart. This is, hey, you screwed up one time, it happens. And then it happens a second time, hey, we talked about this. And then a third time, it's like, listen, bro, you gotta pack your bags. Like this should go for any player out there and the other guys that were involved last night or Sunday night.
Yeah. I agree with what you just said. I was just saying Isaiah Stewart because he has been in more than one of
Oh,
these
right.
unsportsmanlike conduct, whether that's on the court or off the court. He has been a part of multiple unsportsmanlike conduct, in the NBA's eyes. So, you know, that means to me that if he continues down this path, I do believe that they need to come down hard on Isaiah Stewart and make him the example for everybody else. Or, Isaiah Stewart can learn from this and he can lead the charge on how to fix these problems so that in the future things like this don't happen. And also, not only Isaiah Stewart, not only him, but the other players involved need to come together and they need to hold each other accountable. They need to have team meetings, and say, hey, how can we prevent this from happening? And also, there were some coaches involved in this as well. So they need to be held accountable. They need to get in front of their players and say, hey, I was a part of that too. I'm sorry, guys. I'm held accountable. Hold me accountable. This won't happen again. And, then from there, they need to not only talk the talk, but they need to walk the walk.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself there, Mayhem. Yeah. So let's see. What else did you want to talk about? We talked Drew Pine, the Wolves. Let's get into this one. I think I only made 3 banners. I know you had a couple different things tonight, but the tush push ban. So obviously, if you follow the NFL and you probably watched the Super Bowl, but you've watched the Eagles all year long last year, you probably know what the tush push is. This is Jalen Hurts at quarterback or whoever goes up under center like he's going to do a QB kneel or a QB sneak or something. They're at the goal line. And from behind, he has 2 or 3 guys, the offensive linemen up front, playing their guts out, just giving them all the protection. But they push on his butt, and he gets over the goal line. Well, talk to us, Mayhem. I have seen this too, but the NFL is trying to do away with this, or are there protesters out there suggesting they do away with this?
I mean, the biggest thing I've seen in arguing banning the tush push, because obviously the tush push is like a really good way of doing a quarterback sneak.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all it is. And so you're not going to get rid of the quarterback sneak itself. So I think the biggest thing is safety here. I believe that injuries were talked about during this plan on banning the tush push whenever they were talking about it. And I believe that they're banning the tush push because of safety reasons. And basically, tush push, you got three or 400-pound defense and offensive linemen coming together like this. They know it's going to happen, and they got, you might see helmet to helmet on these types of plays. You might see, broken hands, getting in the mix of this. You might see a lot of different things. You might, see a helmet come off or whatever or whatnot, trying to stop it. You can see a lot of things happen, broken hands, broken fingers. You can see helmet to helmet a lot, just a lot of safety issues there. So they're not saying that they're banning the quarterback sneak. It's just that they probably won't be allowed to just push the tush of the center. You know what I mean? So, this is the Eagles did not invent this. They're just
making it famous.
They made it popular, and and they were very successful with it because they had the key players to do it. And okay, the tush push is going to get banned, so they're going to come up with another way. They're going to be very slick, and they're going to find another way to do a alternate tush push. It's going to look very similar, but they're going to get away with it because it's not going to be. It might not be under center. It might be something else. There's different ways to get around this, and I mean, who's to say that they can't push the tush of any other player? You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I wonder. I would love to know what the actual rule is, what the actual ban is. Is that you cannot push the tush of any player to get forward? I mean, I want to know the actual ruling on this.
So, well, interestingly enough, I got this pulled up here. Let me screen share it. We'll look at this together because I kind of want to look at some of the other rules that were proposed or suggestions, whatever you want to call them. There was more than just a tush push, and I kind of want to look at different ones that were proposed because they had a meeting yesterday or today, I think. But here's the tush push. It was actually proposed by the Packers, and I think the Lions were in on it too. But it says the Packers have proposed a rule that would prohibit an offensive player from pushing a teammate who was lined up directly behind the snapper, that'd be the center, just football, come on, receives the snap and immediately at the snap. If adopted, this rule would make it illegal for NFL teams to run the tush push play, popularized by the Eagles. The Packers listed player safety and pace of play as reasons for requesting this rule. I don't know. I mean, how would we worry about player safety with the tush push and the pace of play? I don't understand that part. I mean, are they just throwing out those reasons just to get it banned, do you think? Or are there legitimate causes for concern, you think, Mayhem?
I think there are legitimate causes for concern whenever we're talking about injury.
Uh-huh.
But, and you know,
But
I've got a big but, okay? But, college,
NFL.
football in general, every single snap, every single play, you can get injured.
Yeah. In the weirdest way, too. Like, it's not, you can't come up with these rules and say we want to do it to prevent injuries. If you don't want to deal with injury, look, I know nobody wants to see anybody get hurt, but can we agree on something here, Mayhem? If you don't want to get injured in football, just don't play football. I don't care how many pads you put on. I don't care how many helmets. I don't care if you bubble wrap yourself. You're gonna get hurt, you know? It's gonna happen. It's part of the game. Like, I don't want to see it. Nobody does. But it's part of the game. It's part of life. What do you say?
Yeah, I think that they're just trying to, a lot of these guys
I think they're jealous that they can't do it.
well, yeah, from a fan perspective, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
But these guys sit in meetings hours upon hours a day, and they pretty much look at these charts. They look at charts like, okay, we had 40% of players get injured, or we had 35% of players get injured football this year. How can we reduce that, right? Mm-hmm. And basically they came up with, the tush push, right? And, they said, well, if we ban the tush push, then the percentages of injuries might go down, right? Kind of like a few years back, the Tom Brady rule. Are you familiar with that, Ballard?
Does this have to do with Deflategate? What are we talking about here?
This is talking about if you barely touch the quarterback nowadays, it's a flag.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard of that one. I didn't know they called it the Tom Brady rule, but it makes sense.
I mean, it was popularized by Tom Brady because Tom Brady got injured. I can't remember what game, but I know Tom Brady had got injured, and then after that, whenever he came back, he barely got tackled, and then they started throwing flags every single time he barely got hit, right?
Yeah.
And then it became very popular. Even now that he's retired, you can't. I mean, hey, don't really tackle Patrick Mahomes, because you're going to get a flag. Don't really tackle Joe Burrow. You might get a flag. Don't hit them too hard. Don't hit the quarterbacks too hard. You might get a flag, right? This is pretty much the same exact thing. Same thing, same concept. This is another one of those things where the game of football has just become softer and softer and softer. That's all it is. They want football players to be able to play longer, and they back 20 years ago, the average lifespan of a running back was 3 years, 2 to 3 years. That was it.
Yeah.
Now you see running backs playing 5, 10 years now, right? Quarterbacks, the lifespan of a quarterback, might be 10 years, 10, 15 years. Now you're going to start seeing guys probably play upwards of 20 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they'll start out in the NFL whenever they're, in their early 20s, and they'll stop playing football whenever they're almost 50.
Absolutely.
Because you can't touch them or you get a flag.
And
So
if you can't touch them, and you just let them run all over the place until the game's over, that's keeping them healthy, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that's
the
you know,
the tush push is pretty much doing the same exact thing, but the people that we're trying to protect here in this scenario would be the offensive defensive lineman, and obviously the quarterback too, because he's going to be doing a lot of pushing the tush and getting in some of these I don't know what to call them, but in these they're going to be getting in the line of fire.
for sure. I kind of want to look. I know we didn't plan this too much, but I am curious about some of these other rule changes because it's not just a tush push, but like this one here says defensive holding and illegal contact penalty changes. Now, this is proposed by the Lions. Um, it says the Lions are looking to eliminate an automatic first down as a penalty imposed for defensive holding and illegal contact. The reasoning for the proposal is they claim the current penalty enforcement is too punitive for the defense and believe that changing it would provide more competitive equity for the league. Are they being too harsh when you have holding and illegal contact, hands to the face and stuff like that? Is like automatic first down? Is that too hard on these DBs?
I mean, it all goes back to what I just said, man. They're softening the game that we love.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether you think it is a good thing to protect players so they can play longer, or whether you think that's a bad thing because you're not going to see them exciting hits as a fan, that guy just trucked him, right? That would be up to the fan if you like to see the game get softer or not. I think that you shouldn't want to blow the doors off of somebody's head, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, give me a good football tackle. Let me enjoy a good football tackle. I remember when I was a kid playing Pee Wee tackle football. I was a kid, by the way, and we would have the Oklahoma drills. And one guy would stand in the middle of the circle, and we would have a football in our hands, and we don't know. It could be somebody behind us. It could be somebody in front of us. It could be somebody right there, diagonal of us. We have to be like trying to find who's about to come basically clean my head off my shoulders, right? And, I was trying to figure it out, and then I would get basically tackled. And I love that, right? Another story I have when I played Pee Wee tackle football, right? I got some great memories. We were playing a middle school team, way bigger, way physical, way more faster team. And this guy, I was on the offensive line. I got down in my 3-point stance. I was looking at him, and whenever they said "hut," he literally all he did was this, and my feet came off of the ground and I was flying. I bet you if
Wow.
you put that in slow motion, you would be singing, "I believe I can fly." Like, it was something so crazy. It was something that you would think would come off of a movie or something like that, right?
Mhm.
And my dad was so scared and worried that I had just got clobbered, and he came running over to me. "You all right? You all right?" I jumped off it. I jumped up and I said, "Let's do it again. Let's go." Right. And, I enjoy those moments. I played in those moments. I did not play in a high level. I didn't play college, or I didn't even play in high school or college, or, in the NFL, of course, you know. But I enjoyed playing at the smallest level that you can even play at. I enjoyed playing that, and I enjoyed, hitting people, and I enjoyed getting hit. I know that sounds crazy, but I enjoyed the love of the game, and now as a fan, getting to watch these guys, I want to see the hard hit. You know what? I don't like ASMR. Okay,
Mhm.
I don't like
Oh,
the
you mean stuff like this?
yeah,
Stuff like that?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like this. And you're quiet and you're like rubbing your microphone.
yeah.
That's you're a weirdo.
Can you hear that, Ballard? Can you hear that?
Hold on.
Can you
Yeah, I hear it.
can you hear that, Ballard?
Yeah.
Yeah, ASMR. Yeah. So you know what would be a really good ASMR for Mayhem?
What's that?
Hearing two pads just hit together.
Oh, like football pads, like player pads, like
Yeah, just a
just hit
good.
them. Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I love to see the impact. I love to hear the
Yes.
sound.
You know what kills me? This has nothing to do with the NFL, but I just thought of it. Spring games, and you can't hit the quarterback. Now, I get you don't want to risk injury to your starter, but come on, man. Tackle them. This two-hand touch stuff in spring games, man. I I mean, you can give your thoughts on it if you want to. I just wanted to throw that out there. Since we're on the topic of like rule changes and stuff, hit them.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of rule changes, I don't know if them that you have pulled up are actually changing,
I
but
don't know.
I
I
do
think
have
they're just proposals. They're just proposals, and most of them come from the Lions. And this
I
next one here is
well, hold on.
hilarious.
I was just
Yeah.
well, we could do that one, and then I actually have some actual rule changes that were actually agreed upon and that will happen.
Yeah. Okay.
So, breaking NFL owners have passed a rule that both teams will be allowed to possess the ball in overtime in the regular season. The
Yep.
original proposal was for a 15-minute overtime that now has been amended to 10 minutes. So 10-minute overtime, both teams will possess the ball in overtime. And I completely 100% agree with this rule change. Should have always really been that. What do you think?
Yeah, because I mean, it's so easy nowadays with offenses, not like in both college and NFL. And college did this too, even in the postseason. We saw it with last year's Rose Bowl with Michigan and Alabama. Instead of this whole one and done first team to score wins, it's both teams now get a possession, and now we see the NFL going to. I love it. I absolutely love it because it's so easy nowadays with the offenses that we have out there to throw an 80-yard bomb down the field to like I mean, you want to talk about the Eagles earlier. I mean, it's so easy for him for Hurts to go out there and throw a 80-yard bomb to Devontae Smith or AJ Brown or somebody, or just give it up the middle to Barkley. Um,
Or
It's
just
easy to do that.
push the tush all the way down the field.
Yeah, right. 80-yard tush push. But like it's so easy to do that. So the overtime rule changes, the way I would do it, not like gonna get too far into it, but I think each team needs at least one possession. If you can't score on your possession, you lose, pending the score has changed, right? Um, but this whole sudden death in a championship game and everything that we used to have in college and what we've had in a Super Bowl, uh, I don't really like the sudden death thing. You know, I understand that defenses need to step up and defend, but I also know how offenses are nowadays. It's very hard to keep up sometimes, and I think you should give each quarterback in their offense a chance to match what the other offense did.
For sure. I agree. Also, we got breaking news. Well, it's not breaking news on here, but it's breaking news as of 8 hours ago.
Mhm.
The method for measuring first downs in the NFL will switch from chain gangs to camera-based technology in 2025, the league announced. The traditional chain crew will remain on the sidelines in a secondary capacity. Thoughts?
I don't know because I haven't seen it yet, but you said it's gonna change for this year, at least starting this year, it's gonna be electronically with cameras set up?
Yep.
Um, I mean, I don't see the shame in trying that. I mean, everything's technological nowadays, everything's required, like, electronically and technical. I don't know. The only thing I would say, and this is just thinking out loud here, but like, let's say if there's a glitch in the system or a camera and it's not reliable, are they going to be able to go out with the chain gang to fix it like the traditional way of measuring a first down? Let's say if it's not working properly, and you can't measure the first down. I don't want them to put it on the back burner and just give them the first down or not give them the first down. I want you to go out there with the chain, measure it, and make sure it's accurate. Because I really don't see there being much of an issue with the chain. I don't. Um, I think I would like to think at least that they are fair with their measurements when it comes to this stuff. Um, I don't know what the system's gonna look like electronically, if there's gonna be computers or I don't know, like a microchip involved or I don't know what it's gonna look like, but like, um, I guess as a fan and as someone trying to cover this stuff, like, I don't see the shame in trying, you know? What do you think?
So here's another double-edged sword for me
Mhm.
because on one hand, I think it's a great idea. With AI and all the stuff, all technology that we have, our cell phones, like my cell phone is practically, you know, it's literally practically a mini computer, right?
Yeah.
With the technology that we have now, I think it's a great idea. We should have been doing this whenever, as soon as possible, right? On the other hand, there's always the other hand, right?
Yeah.
And that hand being the conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
You thought they were bad now. Just wait until the technology finds out that fourth down conversion to possibly win the game on fourth and goal, and everybody thinks it's a touchdown. It's obvious touchdown, but the technology says nope. They were short, and the game is over.
Yeah.
Imagine the conspiracy theorist that comes out. Oh, well, it's rigged. NFL's
Yeah.
rigged. because clearly we see on the video he's over the pylon.
I
Clearly,
can see it now, bro. Like, we will never, ever have another Super Bowl where the AFC team is not wearing red. Let me put it basically. You bring this technology in, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen, every year. I'm not saying it, but some of y'all out there are gonna be pissed.
yeah. I mean, the conspiracy
I
theorists.
mean, that could happen. Like, I mean, there are conspiracy theorists like you're talking about. That is possible.
That is 100% possible. I mean, just like a few episodes ago of the Touchdowns Live, you talked
Mhm.
about the conspiracy theorist on the Super Bowl logo, the colors.
Oh, the colors, yeah. Yeah.
And you know how the colors align, and now they're going to be, well, the game is rigged because they're pretty much telling us now, instead of using the chain gang, they're pretty much telling us that they're rigging it pretty much.
Mhm.
And they need to be really precise. They need to make sure that this technology actually works before it, because I would hate to see a glitch in the system or something like that, and then all of a sudden now the game is rigged, right? I think it's a great idea in theory, but I would like to see a couple games with it to actually give my official thoughts on this. But in theory, I think it's a great idea. And also, you do have the conspiracy theorist that's always going to be around saying that it's rigged, no matter what you do, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, if their team don't win, it's rigged. If the team that they want to lose doesn't lose, then it's rigged. I mean, but if your team wins, all of a sudden it's not rigged, right? They won that fair and
Yeah.
square. They won that game fair and square. But a team that is just great, and you can't hate on greatness. You got to respect the game. You got to respect greatness. And that's clearly what the Chiefs has been. The Eagles dethroned them. It's just really hard to three-peat. Alabama's tried it in college. Georgia's tried it in college. You've seen the Chiefs tried it in the NFL. I believe.
It's only happened, I think, now that I recall research, I could be wrong. You can fact check me, but in the 1930s, I think it happened. And I think it's the only time it's ever happened in a sport, or at least in football. I think it was Minnesota. I could be wrong. They at least won two, or they tried to three-peat. There was something there. It might have actually went through. It might have, but anyway. But yes, I see what you're saying about how hard it is and how this technology and everything. Like, it's either going to make or break the NFL. Like, the NFL's trying to survive with viewership and everything right now. Hanging, I mean, like, they have viewers, but like, there's also there's a lot of people out there that like don't like the NFL right now. But
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
yeah. As far
A
as
lot of these rule changes will really make it a sinking ship, in my opinion.
I'm gonna be
And I
honest,
could be wrong.
I believe you are, because I mean,
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Ballard. They can make a change to NFL football, and they can say every single football team has to wear red, and you'll still have millions of people watch it. It's like a drug.
Yeah.
It's like something that we have to watch. We have to watch it, right? And so, with that being
Who
said,
am I kidding? They're fixing to pay players all over college football, and I'm not going away. You're not going away either, are you?
yeah. Speaking of that, I want to get to our final topic. Well, two more topics.
Yeah.
2 more topics.
Okay.
Almost forgot about one. But go ahead and tell us about the NCAA denying the Colorado and Syracuse spring game, or what you would call like preseason game or whatever, that Dion proposed on X, and then Fran Brown, the head coach of Syracuse, responded to him and said, "Hey, give me a time, place, wherever you want to do it, we'll do it. Let's go." And well, now I'm hearing that the NCAA has denied that. Give us more information about that, Ballard.
Yeah, just had to pull it up real quick. I forgot we were going to talk about that one, but I got it here. So this is read this from James Parks, college football headquarters on Sports Illustrated, SI. Colorado and Syracuse had their idea for a joint spring football practice and game turned down by the NCAA. The Orange coach, that's just so weird saying it, Syracuse coach Fran Brown thinks it may have had something to do with the people who had the idea in the first place. Maybe if someone else brought it up, the NCAA would have been more amenable to the proposal. He said, this is Fran Brown, he said, we should have just told Coach Belichick and Bill O'Brien to come up with it, and then they would have let him do it, Brown told reporters. And then he goes on, he said, and then it would have all went, right? We shouldn't have been the first two dudes to say it. You know damn well they wasn't who wrote this? They wasn't about to let Coach Primetime and Fran Brown be the first to do it over their dead bodies. I'm literally reading this word for word right now, by the way. They wasn't about to let Coach Primetime and Fran Brown. I'm sorry. It's just funny in an article. He then added, I'm just messing with you, NCAA. Don't get all mad and call up my AD, athletic director, and try to find me. I'm literally joking. The NCAA cited competitive and academic concerns for why it denied the waiver filed by Colorado and Syracuse, but Brown doesn't think there would have been a problem. They were heading in the right direction, right? They had all the right reasons, he said. It wouldn't have given everyone the same opportunity. It would have been a little advantage. I wasn't about us being able to practice because us practicing together would have only limited the amount of people on the field. Deion Sanders brought forward the idea of playing a competitive spring practice and exhibition game in the same way NFL teams prepare against each other in the preseason. He said, you really can't tell the level of your guys because, it's the same old, same old. Everybody kind of knows each other towards the end. I would like to style it like the pros. I would like to practice against somebody for a few days. Then you have the spring game. And I think the public will be satisfied with that tremendously. And the article continues to go on. But so far on what I've read, what do you think?
Well, I got a question for you before I give my thoughts.
Yes.
What's Fran Brown talking about?
Where? Which part?
Whenever he said they ain't going to let us two dudes.
Oh, when he said, damn well they wasn't about to let Coach Primetime and Fran Brown be the first to do it over their dead bodies. What was he talking about there? Look at this. I'm not making this up, people. Y'all read the article too here.
But I want to know what. I mean, I think I know what he's talking about. I just want.
I don't. Is there, and I'm going to try to be careful because I hate getting into this stuff. Do you think that there was a factor? Oh, God, I'll just ask it. Is there a factor of race behind that comment, you think?
That's what I'm asking you.
Okay, so we're on the same page. Yes, that's what I wanted to ask. I'm glad you brought it up first so they could go after you, not me. So
I mean, actually, they would have to go after old Fran Brown.
right.
I'm
Right.
just reporting on what was said.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't. I mean, you can't cancel somebody that hasn't made it yet.
Right.
You know, I'm a very tiny YouTuber, so you can't cancel somebody that isn't, even made it,
Yeah.
But, we're all just joking and ain't nobody canceling anybody or anything. But yeah, so like for example, whenever he said that, I'm thinking the first thing I thought of was like, what? Basically, Fran Brown wants to say, dang well they ain't gonna let two black dudes, do this first. Because the two head coaches' names that he mentioned were two white old guys, right?
Oh, Belichick and who was it? It was Bill O'Brien. Yeah.
So two white old guys.
Yeah.
So basically, he's saying, I'm gonna put it in terms that Fran Brown this is what Fran Brown really wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
You think these two white guys? This is what Fran Brown wanted to say. You really think these two black guys are going to be the first to do something in college football and make an impact? You really think they're going to let two black dudes do that? You might as well just call up two white head coaches, old white coaches that's been in the game for a while, and they would have done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's he's saying we shouldn't us black folk shouldn't have been the first people to say anything. We should have just told the old two white folk to say something and it would have got done.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what Fran Brown wants to say, but he can't say because he's he's a head coach, he's part of the media. And that's what I took from
I
that.
think, yeah, I kind of took that too.
I mean, what other way can you take it?
His words to our ears.
I did not expect that whenever we were looking up articles to talk about and stuff like that. And I just seen the headline.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Just a quick disclaimer. Like, we pretty much, the only thing that's scripted about this show is what we're going to talk about. We are finding this stuff out when you guys find out when we read it on the air. Like, straight up, we had no idea what Fran Brown was saying
Exactly.
in this article until we saw it. So
Yeah,
this is news to us.
yeah, and I like that about this show. I do. I like that because you get our raw reaction.
Yeah.
You get a level of authenticity that you wouldn't get anywhere else. And whenever somebody asks me, why should we watch the Touchdowns live show whenever we do it, me and Ballard? Well, number one, me and Ballard, we have great chemistry together. We bounce off of each other. Wait, yo. Okay, anyways. Okay.
I'm uploading that. I just screenshot it, screen record, whatever. That's going on my
pause. Okay. We have great chemistry together. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. With that being said, thank you guys. No, I'm kidding. But the other reason to watch this live stream is it's raw reactions. We're not coming on here with a sheet of paper that has all our notes on it, and we're not we don't have a teleprompter and we're not reading from the teleprompter on what to say.
I will say the only thing I write down is when we're on the phone discussing, hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. I just write the topics. I pull up an article or two. We read from it a little bit, not a whole lot. But then we can, I think it's so great that our minds work together and that we can come up with what to say without hesitation.
Yeah, I like that about us, and sometimes we don't even read the article if it's a catchy headline. We just say let's talk about it. We're going to react to it live on air, touchdowns
Mhm.
live, and we're going to give our hot take about it. And you just saw there that was breaking news to me. I didn't, coming on this channel, I didn't know that Fran Brown said that.
Yeah,
And
me neither.
I just thought that the NCAA pretty much denied, the NCAA denied the game to be played, and I had my thoughts on that, and I still have my thoughts on that. But then Ballard throws me a curveball, and now we get to talk about that too. But to kind of put a bow on this present right here to kind of wrap it all up. I think Fran Brown was 100% talking about race, and I do not believe in 2025 that it's about race. You could have put two white dudes up there. You could put two black dudes up there. You could have put two Mexicans, one white dude, one black dude, one Hispanic, one black guy. You could have put a Barney, and you could have put, Elmo, a red and green, purple dinosaur. You could have put anybody up there. It probably would have got denied. Okay. I do think that in the future, to give you my thoughts on just having scrimmage games in the future. And yes, I know they denied it now, but I believe that this is just the start. I do think in 15, 20 years, probably even 10 years or less, we're going to see that. We're going to see either preseason games. Now, I have some thoughts, right? So maybe they denied it because they see a future of college football playing actual preseason games, and they don't want to start this scrimmage game stuff whenever they already have plans to bring in these preseason games, and we just don't know about it, right? Because that was also talked about. And, this brings me straight into our next topic. But I think, the landscape of college football in the next 20, 25 years is a very similar model to the NFL. And it's going to start with probably preseason games. And I think if you go ahead and open this can of worms and let people scrimmage each other and stuff like that, then whenever you want to do these preseason games, then people are going to get mad, and then who knows, some scrimmage games might have contracts tied to them and stuff like that. They don't want any of that to start happening whenever they might have plans for something similar to that down the road. They don't want to open that can of worms because a lot of things can happen. Player gets injured. They want to sue the other team. Just a whole bunch of stuff can start happening. The NCAA or, the college football gods or whoever they are, right, they want to pretty much, before they say yes to something, they want to make sure that nothing crazy is going to happen as far as like lawsuits and things that can get in the way, right? Because well, hey, this team wanted to pay me this much money. This team didn't do it. Now I'm going to sue that team. It could be a lot of legal trouble, and maybe that's the reason why the NCAA denied that. They're talking about athletics. Academic. The reasoning that Ballard said was academics. I have no idea why academics have to do anything with putting some shoulder pads on and playing some football. I don't understand that, but this might be legal trouble. This might be, it might be they might have plans for the future on something similar. They just don't want to open this can of worms right now. And another thing is the NCAA always wants to profit off of this. They're going to try to figure out how can they profit off of it, right? And so that's probably why they denied it. I don't think it has anything to do with color. Okay. I think there's a lot of more issues and problems that they might have. I think the very last thing they're looking at is two black guys came up with the idea. I mean, really, I don't believe that. Right now, you can call me gullible if you want to. It's 2025. I know racism still I know racism still exists in the world, but there's a big difference between the 1960s and 2025. Correct. Okay, I think we can all agree on that. But that being said, I want to talk about speaking of change. I want to ask you, Ballard. This is our last subject of the night, Ballard.
Okay.
How would you change college football? And I know that's a really broad statement. That's a really broad question. You can talk about NIL, playoffs, any type of rule changes, whatever that you want to change in college football. You have the floor. I want you to talk all about it.
There's a lot of different ways I would go with this. There's a lot that I would change, but if I had to throw my two big things out there, you cannot transfer more than one time. And we need a committee for NIL to regulate it. I fully agree. Now, it doesn't have to be Nick Saban, but an actual college football commissioner would be awesome. I mean, think about it, man. Like, if, Roger Goodell gets booed every year at the draft, but I think he's doing a good job keeping up with the NFL and keeping it intact. I mean, there's some things obviously out there that just don't make a whole lot of sense and stuff, but he's keeping it going, right? We need someone that can do that with the way college football is today. We need a commissioner, right? To especially regulate the pay for play, the NIL, and the portal stuff, just to regulate everything. What would you say?
I agree with that. I think there should be a commissioner. I also will say that I would love to hear if you have any more before I go on my rant and
Not that I can think of at the moment. I mean, just overall, like, just someone in charge. Like, I know we have an NCAA president and everything. I almost said Mark Emmert, but he was the previous. We have Charlie Baker, I think is his name now. So we have an NCAA president, but he can't, or I guess he could. He just doesn't. And I'm not like trying to rip into him or anything. I'm not trying to do that, but
rip into
it. All right, do your job. No, like we truly need a face of college football that, like, can handle everything on the table. Like a college, like we have an NCAA president. We need a college football president or like a college football Congress or something, man, that just like can
Well,
regulate stuff.
I want to get your thoughts on this because I have some thoughts on this, and I want you to go first.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me how you would change, or if you would even change. You might say, "Hey, I'd keep it the same. I like it how it is." But how would you, if you would change, how would you change college football playoff format?
I think that it should be more than 4. I would go down to 8 teams. I would take all of the I would take the 4 conference champions, not this whole highest ranked deal. I would take if you win your conference, you win your conference. I know you might have a crappy record, you're 8-4 or something like that, but you're not going to be like 5-7 winning your conference. It just doesn't happen. Not usually. Maybe a rarity here or there, but if that's happening, you got a pretty bad conference. Um, the college football playoff format. I would go the 4 conference champions. I would go the best independent team as far as record, as long as it's 10 plus wins. If not, obviously you'll have some at large in there, but you got 4 covered. I would take, let's say, and obviously it all applies with records being good enough. But let's say you get like your runner ups. Like let's say Georgia wins the SEC, Texas is your runner up. What are the chances they're going to leave Texas out of the playoff with like 10-2 or something like that, right? So I would take your runner ups. Um, the I like the idea of the highest rated group of 5 champion. So you get them in there and your highest ranked independent. I don't know. I'm trying to think of how I should explain all this, but so far with what I've said, like, do you agree or disagree on any of that?
So I like some things that you said, and
Okay.
maybe I misunderstood, but you want an 18 playoff. I will be 100% down with that. Just have the 4 Power 4 conference champions, 1 through 4, and then the other 4 would be your group of 5 champion, and then pretty much 3 at large is how I'm thinking you're explaining it.
Yes. Now, could you see a scenario where we take more than one group of 5 champion? Like, what if we took a American and like a Conference USA if records were good enough? Like, could we do that? Because I'd be down for that. Like, why do we only get one group of 5 in there? Like,
So I'm gonna push back a little bit on that.
okay, okay,
Now, there's 2 scenarios on how I can cure college football.
yeah,
The first one is simple. Well, both of them are really simple, but the first one's, I think would appease a lot of people. So, are you familiar with the FCS playoffs, Ballard?
is it 12 teams for them
No,
too? How many is it? I think I know of it, and
it's
I know that they have a couple different conference champions in there.
it's a 24 team playoff.
24? Is it that big?
Hmm.
Dang.
They do it
I
every
knew
year.
it had I thought it was like 8 or 12. I didn't realize it was 24. Holy cow.
So right now we have 134 Division One teams,
Right.
something like that, 135
Yeah.
maybe. Um, 24, 24. I mean, we have a top 25, right?
Yeah.
So Why can't we utilize 24 of them, right?
Or could you take the one that's not ranked and do 26 for an even number?
Well, I think you could
Could
do
you have
this.
that at large type of ranking?
Well, I think you could do this. You could do a play-in game to 24 versus 25. Whoever wins that game,
Oh shoot, man, that's awesome. I like that.
you
I
know,
like that.
college basketball, they do play-in games and do a
Yeah.
play-in game. That winner gets the last spot because we always talk about, well, my team should have got in. My team should have got in, right? Well,
We would have beat so and so if we had played on a field. So why did they get in over us?
yeah,
That solves the whole. Like, okay, let's say had we had that for even the 14 playoff, should we not have had Florida State play Alabama a couple years ago just to see who should have got that fourth spot to play Michigan? I'm just saying it'll help with controversy.
So that is one way. I don't care how you slice it up. I think the easiest way to do it is your top 25, right?
Yeah.
I mean, literally, the committee ranks the teams 1 through 25. Nobody has at large or no auto bids or anything like that. If you're in the top 25, you're in there, right? If you're ranked number 1, you're ranked number 1. If you're ranked number 2, you're ranked number 2. I mean, there ain't no top 4 champions here. No, stop it. No. Just rank the teams 1 through 25 and seed them accordingly, right? And put the best 24 in there and have yourself a playoff. And like I said, you have a play-in game between 24 and 25. Whoever wins gets that last spot in the 24-team playoff. All right, that's one way. The second way is, well, we kind of have to change a lot about college football for this second way. And Ballard, before I say what I got to say is, we have 134 teams or 135, whatever the number is now, because it is growing every other year, right? So we have so many teams now. Just a couple years ago, James Madison made the cut. And I thought I seen something the other day about somebody joining the FBS Division I football now. I don't know. But you got so many teams now. Do you really believe there's a world where all 130-something teams has a equal opportunity to win a national championship?
No.
So why in the world are 130-something teams in this division chasing for a national championship every year? I think that it should be about 48 teams. There should be 2 conferences, just like the NFL. NFL has 2 conferences, the NFC and the AFC. They should have the SEC and the Big Ten. And they should have each conference should have 24 teams apiece. Each conference should have 6 teams with 4 divisions each. 4 divisions each with 6 teams in those divisions. Right. And you play 12 games. I don't make enough money to figure this out, but I'm figuring out most of it for you, college football. Schedule however you want to schedule, as long as you're playing either SEC and Big Ten. There ain't no playing UAB. There ain't no such thing as playing Kent State. You're going to play a tough schedule. You're going to play the best of the best. you're trying to chase the championship. So the best 48 teams, 24 in the Big Ten, 24 in the SEC. And like I said, you have 4 divisions, 6 teams in each division. And like, example, right? I think you should have, just like the NFL, have a 16-team playoff and do the playoffs just like the NFL does it. Literally copy and paste their model. And there you go. And then just like the NFC Championship and AFC Championship are right before the Super Bowl, whoever wins them games go to the Super Bowl. We should do the same thing. The SEC Championship, Big Ten Championship, whoever wins those games go to the National Championship every single year. And it should probably be held in the Rose Bowl every year.
I like the idea of it being at the Rose Bowl for sure.
Yeah. So them are my 2 things that I see that I think would fix college football. I also agree. Well, I agree with there being some type of college football commissioner. As long as it's a competent one. Also, another thing is, I don't agree with whenever you said only one-time transfer. I think we should go back instead. I think we should go back to the rule of if you transfer, you have to sit out a year.
Oh, the red shirt.
I think that's how it should go so that we have less of those transfers happening. Because, if you transfer one time and it doesn't go like, because, these coaches, they always lie to you, or a lot of them do lie. They get you there, and now you can't transfer anymore. And now you're stuck on the bench for 4 years, and you possibly could have made the NFL if you would have went to the right team, right? So with that being said, like, I don't agree with just the one-time transfer thing. I think, we should just go back to how it was before COVID. I think really COVID and Justin Fields pretty much changed that whole entire narrative thing, right? But anyway, before we get out of here, we did have a little bit of conversation in the chat. I don't want to ever forget about the chat. So we had Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. He says, Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you as well, Daniel. Cody Hankin, he said, what's up, Ballard? And then Ballard has a question. Go ahead and answer that, Ballard.
You better get their stuff together, Cody, is all I got to say. We got a hit.
Now, today is April 1st, so
Mhm.
I'm going to tread lightly on this next comment. Breaking news, Georgia versus Georgia Tech spring game, Truist Park, April 15th. Totally April Fools with that one.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about Georgia versus Georgia Tech spring game? There isn't one, but nice try. They just turned down the thought of having Colorado versus Syracuse in the spring game. So nice try though on the April Fools. Sir UGA, how you doing today? He says, how are the kittens? Mayhem. I got 1 kitten now and doing really good. Also, did Mayhem's wife put him in timeout in his corner? And the answer is 100% yes. She don't care about college football. Only I do in this household. So, of course, she had to put me in timeout. But I love this corner, okay? I love the Mayhem corner. I get to talk about things that I love, and I get to express it on the Ballard Sports Media channel and my channel, and I get to express it, in the way that I want to, and she loves me for it. So, with that being said, yeah, she did put me in timeout, but I love being in timeout. So, anyways, I think we're going to get out of here. Ballard, you got any last words?
No, man, just great to get back to doing this show. We got to do it on a regular basis, but I know work and everything gets busy for me. So, but yeah, thanks for doing this tonight, man. This was a good one.
For sure. So if you like this content, please smash the thumbs up. And if you really like this content, hit the subscribe button.
From his family.
Yes, was out on the field pretty much the whole entire first half.
We got a lot of great games. I'm highlighting 2 SEC games.